It was a quiet summer night in the English countryside. The air was still, save for the rhythmic clatter of a train rolling through the darkness. Inside the train, mail bags filled with cash and valuables sat undisturbed, a silent fortune hurtling toward its destination. To most, it was an ordinary train ride. But to a group of audacious thieves, it was the opportunity of a lifetime. On August 8, 1963, a team of skilled thieves orchestrated a robbery so precise, so daring, that it became one of the most infamous heists in history. This wasn't just about stealing money. It was a tale of human ambition, betrayal, and mystery. How did a group of men pull off what seemed impossible? And how did they lose everything to mistakes that could have been avoided? The perfect target, a moving fortress of cash. The Glasgow to London Royal Mail train was no ordinary locomotive. This train was a financial fortress, a moving vault carrying immense wealth. Every night, it transported millions in cash and valuables for London's financial institutions. But on this particular night, the stakes were even higher. The HVP train carried a record-breaking £2.6 million in cash, money destined for banks, businesses, and government treasuries. Adjusted for inflation, that amount would be worth £53 million today, a fortune that could tempt even the most law-abiding citizen. The train was supposed to be impenetrable, with tight schedules and trained staff to protect its cargo. Yet despite its reputation, it had vulnerabilities. A fixed route, minimal security measures, and no armed guards. For a team of determined criminals, it was the perfect opportunity. Little did anyone know that night would mark the beginning of a criminal saga that would captivate the world for decades. How could a train, safeguarded by such trust and purpose, fall prey to a band of criminals? The answer lay in its overlooked vulnerabilities. Masterminds in the shadows. Behind the Great Train Robbery was a group of 15 men who weren't ordinary criminals. They were professionals in their craft. Bruce Reynolds, the ringleader, was a career thief with a vision for one final, massive score that would secure his future. Known for his charm and intelligence, Reynolds had the ability to bring together a team of specialists. The gang included Gordon Goody, a smooth-talking con artist, Buster Edwards, a man with connections to the black market, and Charlie Wilson, the treasurer who managed the gang's finances. Each member had a specific role: muscle, logistics, and planning. They weren't just criminals. They were craftsmen of crime. But they knew their limits. To execute a heist of this scale, they needed expertise beyond their own. That's when they turned to the South Coast Raiders, a smaller gang known for their precision in train robberies. Together, they formed an alliance, combining resources, skills, and knowledge to pull off the heist of the century. What made their plan truly exceptional, however, was their insider, a mysterious figure who would become the key to their success. What happens when such sharp minds come together with a common goal? For these men, it was a chance to defy the system and rewrite history. Every great heist needs an inside man, and for the Great Train Robbery, that man was the Ulsterman. Shrouded in secrecy, this unnamed Royal Mail employee provided the gang with critical information that would otherwise have been impossible to obtain. He told them the train's exact schedule, the amount of cash it would be carrying, and even the vulnerabilities in its security. Without him, the robbers would have been planning in the dark. His knowledge turned their dream into a tangible, actionable plan. Despite his pivotal role, the Ulsterman remains one of the most enigmatic figures in criminal history. Speculation about his identity has persisted for decades, but no solid evidence has ever surfaced. Some say he was a disgruntled employee seeking revenge. Others believe he was motivated purely by greed. Whoever he was, his information gave the gang the edge they needed. But it also added an air of mystery to the heist, turning it into a story not just of crime, but of hidden players and unanswered questions. In the early hours of August 8th, 1963, the plan was set into motion. The gang arrived at Bridego Bridge, a quiet stretch of track in Buckinghamshire, armed with tools, vehicles, and nerves of steel. They tampered with the trackside signals, switching them to red to bring the train to a halt. As the train slowed and stopped, the robbers moved swiftly. They overpowered the train crew, focusing their efforts on the locomotive. Train driver Jack Mills resisted, trying to protect the cargo, but he was struck over the head with a metal bar, leaving him unconscious. This act of violence shocked the public when the news broke. The gang then detached the high-value packages carriage and moved it a short distance to their unloading point. In under 30 minutes, they unloaded 120 mailbags filled with cash, working with military-like precision. Every member had a job, and every second was accounted for. By the time authorities arrived, the gang had vanished, leaving behind only a trail of questions and an empty train. It was as if they had disappeared into thin air. After the heist, the gang retreated to Leatherslade Farm, a secluded property they had rented weeks earlier. The farmhouse became their base for counting the money, dividing the loot, and laying low until the initial frenzy died down. For a while, it seemed like they had succeeded. They celebrated their victory, confident that their plan had worked flawlessly. Newspapers around the world hailed the robbery as a masterstroke, and police were left chasing shadows. But their undoing came from their own mistakes. One gang member left fingerprints on a Monopoly board they had used to pass the time. Others left tools, clothing, and other items at the farm, creating a treasure trove of evidence for investigators. When the police raided the farmhouse, they found enough clues to start piecing together the identities of the robbers. The gang's meticulous planning had been undone by something as simple as carelessness. The unanswered questions continue to haunt the tale, ensuring that this story of ambition and risk remains timeless. The Great Train Robbery was more than just a heist. It was a turning point in criminal history. It showed the world what was possible with careful planning, insider knowledge, and a bit of audacity. It forced law enforcement agencies to rethink their strategies, leading to advancements in forensic science and security measures. In the end, the Great Train Robbery stands as a story of ambition, brilliance, and betrayal. It's a testament to how far people will go to chase their dreams, only to lose their way in the pursuit of wealth and infamy. This crime story is both amazing and a warning lesson, reminding us of the thin line between genius and recklessness. Even now, as the trains roll on across the English countryside, the echoes of that fateful night in 1963 linger, a dark chapter etched into the history.